tinnitus. Hello and welcome to our review of Series 12, Episode 5, Fugitive of the Judoon. Patreon.com/Genesis of Hendrasani if you would like to contribute to the channel.
We're now an ASMR channel.
Twitter.com/Giandrasani. Twitter's been interesting today. I wonder why.
I got a rubber band on my cuff.
Who's gonna go first?
Jack's back! Sorry. You can go first.
Fucking Captain Jack Harkness is back! And you saw my reaction, I exploded. Oh!
Yes. Now we're back to reality.
It's a nice coat you got there.
Thank you. I just wore it because it's cold.
No, it's not. It's fucking boiling.
That's why we have two fans going. The window's open behind
We
me.
are two fans of Captain Jack Harkness.
Yeah, boy. That's not even the biggest thing that happened in this episode. It was like a.
That was the filler plot.
It was like an elaborate sleight of hand, or it's like surprise, and you're like holy shit, and it's like that's not even. But wait, there's more. Anyway, let's structure ourselves. Let's dive into this properly.
If that's even possible.
We can do this. Let's do this.
This is one of the biggest reviews we've ever done on this channel.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yep.
It's up there with, Endgame, Rise of Skywalker, all of those.
There's a lot to digest.
Yeah, there's a lot. So, do you want me or you to go first for initial thoughts? Me? Oh god, that's a lot of pressure.
Yep. Go for gold.
Okay. I am very aware that this is a very, 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 very hot topic at the moment on Twitter. I am very aware of a lot of the feelings people have towards this episode, including some of my own, I will say. But this is our review, so regardless of what you feel about whatever happened in this, or whatever comes, maybe you're watching this review years down the line, you're watching us in order and you're seeing this in retrospect of whatever the fuck happens in the future. I am using my freedom of speech to give my own personal opinion on what I thought of this episode. Okay? Now with that out of the way, I have a few things to say. Firstly, my favourite companion in the entire of my favourite show is back. And that is fucking fantastic. That is brilliant. Secondly,
Bravo, Chipper.
disregarding any potential consequences this episode could have on the law, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
As a dramatic presentation of television, I absolutely loved this episode. I thought the acting, the direction, the score, and a lot of it, there's a couple of little criticisms that I have of it that I'll get into. Yes, there are. But where it counted, specifically with Jodie Whittaker and Sagan Akinola and the direction, it was extraordinary. It was magnificent. But at the same time, this episode, at the end of Chibnall's era, could either be, one, the most brilliant idea to give Jodie Whittaker's Doctor the exact kind of character she needs to go down in history as one of the most unique Doctors we've ever seen, or it could quite possibly destroy the entire lore of the show. So, yeah. This is probably gonna be the most difficult overall. Like, when we get to the end of the review, it's probably gonna be my most difficult rating I've ever had to think of, because I have no fucking idea what I'm gonna say.
No.
I will say this though, this episode absolutely blew my mind, and if you saw my reaction, I was shocked. But yeah, I'll get into the rest of it when I get into that.
So, I went into this episode expecting... Firstly, I love the Judoon. Not just because I love Series 3, which I do, but I think the Judoon are one of the greatest Doctor Who creatures ever. Intergalactic space police for hire that happen to be rhinos. Bipedal
Lord
rhinos.
Slar's wrong. He doesn't like them because he doesn't like space riders. He thinks it's a bad idea. But he's wrong.
Bipedal space rhinos
He's
are awesome.
wrong.
Anyway, I love that. So, and then the idea of them finding a fugitive in the middle of just, you know, just a small British town. That's so quintessentially Doctor Who. That premise alone, I was sold. Because I was like, that sounds like fun. It, you know, it could get a bit meandering, could get a bit generic, whatever. But,
Meandering is the opposite of what this
oh
episode
gosh,
did.
yeah. It.
This is honestly, I think I can comfortably say this. This is the most chaotic episode since the Stolen Earth.
Yeah. I agree.
I have not been this hooked by an episode of Doctor Who since the Russell era.
I'm the same. I'm the exact same. It felt to me the same way I felt watching the Stolen Earth. The end of Turn Left. But that was from a certain point on. Like the last 10 minutes of this episode felt like all, the end of Turn Left and the whole of the Stolen Earth. Anyway, the initial premise hooked me, and then slowly things appeared to not be quite as what they seemed. Like, there was that shopkeep who was kind of a weird, sort of quirky side character, and then suddenly Graham disappeared, and I was like, what the fuck? Is he with the Judoon? And then he was on the ship, which I first thought, that looks like a TARDIS console.
I thought it was the Master.
And then, yeah, same. That was my first reaction. I thought it was the Master's console. And then suddenly I heard this voice, which, first couple of words, because they were quite warbled, I was like, that's an American accent. And then immediately, as soon as he spoke again, I was like, no, that's John Barrowman's voice. No. What? No. And then suddenly it's so, like, Vinay Patel wrote it so played in, like, he held out the bait and we all bit, because the dialogue is so cheesy and so wonky and could be so clunky, but with the direction, the music, and the way it built up to Jack saying, you can say it, you missed me, with the big zoom in with Akinola's swelling score, I can't wipe the fucking grin off my face. I squealed. I was home alone.
Have you seen my reaction to it yet?
Yes. I have not had this visceral reaction to Doctor Who since...
Probably since you saw Tom Baker and Day of the Doctor.
Since I saw Tom Baker and Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yep. So...
Because, like, with Heaven Sent, right?
Yeah.
That's a masterpiece of television, right?
Yeah.
But it's one that you experience focused.
Yeah.
This is like just... Oh, Captain Jack!
Yeah. But the crazy thing is, the thing I love about it is that Captain Jack's not even the A-plot.
Honestly, if he wasn't in this episode, it would still be very chaotic.
It would be, absolutely, but he was just there to keep the pace going and to give the companion something to do while the Doctor went on this very personal journey, which we didn't realise was this personal until the end.
I I saw a comment on Twitter from Game
Yeah.
Troller Prime
Mm-hmm.
who said, there's Doctor Who Twitter accounts that are always like, hey, what would you rate this episode out of 10, right?
Yeah.
For this one, the Game Troller Prime said, it's jumping between a 1 and a 10.
But the bravo to Chibnall and the whole production team and Vinay Patel for bringing this story to life, because it's so exciting.
What did I say in the Demons of Punjab review? I wanted to see Vinay Patel do something that's not related to something that he's too familiar with. I want to see him do something like an actual Doctor Who story.
Yeah. And also, I love the fact...
It's like Russell T Davies goat roast this or something.
Yeah, goat roast.
Well, knowing his infatuation with animals, it
But
wouldn't surprise
like,
me.
I also love the... Okay, hang on. Let's break it down. Otherwise, I'll just keep going on about the initial impression. Basically, it's a roller coaster that I enjoyed all the way to the end, even with the potential implications of the lore, which, you know, I'm one of those annoying fanboys who's like, I like my lore.
Based on what I've seen on Twitter today, a lot of people tend to like their lore.
But guess what? I didn't care. But we'll get to that because I have a theory. I might be wrong, but I have a theory.
I've seen a lot of theories actually today.
Yeah. I have a theory which I imagine is probably going to be quite a common one. But we'll see. So what's next?
Okay, I think the most important thing for me to get off my chest right now
Yeah.
is something that people might be shocked by. I don't know,
Yep.
but it's something that is very important.
Yep.
Like, obviously, Captain Jack being back is the best feeling ever.
Euphoric, yeah.
But for this show, the most important thing to talk about in regards to what this episode got right was the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, because she was phenomenal in this episode. Her acting was on par with all the rest of them. She was great, fantastic. Not just in the exposition scenes, the Sonic scenes, the negotiations with the Judoon, that was fine. The comedy was very light and gentle and toned down, and it was quite funny at points. And the plot moving and stuff, she had all the normal stuff. But, oh boy, when it got to the dramatic scenes, this was Jodie at Broadchurch level.
Yeah.
She brought out a side of the character we've never seen from her before, and it was brilliant. I loved her in this, so much so that when it got to the point where she was being challenged by Ruth Clayton's Doctor, I was rooting for her,
Yeah.
because I was won over by Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. Finally! Oh! It's a shame that it's in the episode that might break the whole show, but fuck it. They did it. They finally got me to like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor.
Yeah. I'm in complete agreement. Like, I've grown to like her over this series, this particular season, but this is the one where I'm like, great, that's her. It's
the scene when she's in the car,
yeah,
and the lighthouse scene as well,
Yeah.
but mainly the one in the car. That's the scene.
yeah,
She shows so much depth in her character, and then also the scene in the TARDIS at the end.
yeah.
You don't know me, I've lived for thousands of years.
Yeah, and
It was the same Doctor that I saw today when I rewatched The Doctor Falls.
yep,
It was the same Doctor I saw when I watched Legopolis last week. It was the same one that I saw when I watched Extremis last week. It was the same one that I saw when I watched Doomsday with Jake a month ago.
yeah. She's the Doctor.
She's the Doctor. Fucking extraordinary. She was great.
Yeah. Oh, it's
And if they drop this, if they don't keep this up, I'm going to be so fucking mad at Chibnall because they finally got it.
well. What I love about this is they go off to set off with the adventures at the end, but she's like properly changed and she's accepted, and they're aware that she's changed, and she's telling them that she's changed because of not only the Gallifrey stuff, but what happens in this episode, and the fact and the Jack bombshell being dropped on her, which is just such a tease that they. It's such a tease that they didn't.
Scene when she's walking back.
Yeah, and her
Afterwards.
head's no dialogue. Head is down, and I think it's Ryan and Yas run up to her, and they're like, "Doctor, oh my God, Captain Jack Hart, blah 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 blah," and the doctor doesn't even like. It looks like at the beginning she's not even listening to what they're saying. She's just so like dejected and lost, and then they're like, "Captain Jack Harkness," and she's like, "Okay, what?" It's sublime.
This is what we wanted from day one.
Yes,
Finally got it.
it was worth the wait. It's so good.
That like I said, fucking Captain Jack Harkness is my favorite ever. But that is the best thing about this episode is that they got her doctor right.
Absolutely.
And the fact that this doctor that we have now is probably going to be in the finale with Captain Jack Harkness.
Yes.
That is great.
Yes. And I love that Jack's first instinct when seeing the doctor again is just to snub Graham, and Graham just sort of sitting there dumbfounded. Have we met?
I love the line when he's talking about the doctor. He's like, "You need to tell him what's up," and then Graham's like, "It's not he, it's shit." He's like, "Oh, I gotta see this."
Yeah. It's like, yes, it's the same Jack as well. Obviously, he's wearing the same clothes, but like, John Barrowman hasn't missed a step on screen.
Oh, I've got to tell you something about John Barrowman. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Yeah.
Someone re-uploaded a video he took around the time that he was filming this episode.
Yeah.
I'll show. If I can find the video, I'll show you.
Yeah.
He faked a house renovation so that people wouldn't know he was filming this.
Genius. And yet, I watched the behind the scenes video today, and he said, I was told that I wasn't allowed to tell anyone, but I told my mum, my dad, my big sister, Russell T, and David Tennant.
I think I may have found it. Have I got the... There we go. Notice the hair.
Yeah. It's so obvious that he's bullshitting now that we know, but...
I've come over for a couple of weeks because I'm going to redecorate and renovate one of our properties here in Cardiff, and I want to include you in on it because where should I get the stuff? What should I do? Should I go Aston? Should I go Wayfair?
Yeah.
Should I go John Lewis? Should I go TK Maxx Home Goods? Let me know. I want to do it on a budget. I want to do it well, and I'm going to include you in on all of it, from carpets to all sorts of stuff. Okay, so get ready, keep watching, because you'll help me make the decisions. But this morning, it's a little bit of fun at Aston. I gotta get the butt right. Ready? So here.
John Barrowman faked a fucking house renovation so that he could go to Cardiff and film that scene.
I love that, man. The BBC from 2016 could learn a trick from him. Hey, by the way, John Sims in the finale.
Give us a kiss.
But, oh my god, but that was... Okay, let's keep unpacking. Let's keep going forward on this episode.
The doctor was what we were talking about.
Yeah, the doctor. Jodie's incredible in this episode. She's just... everything from the more comedic bits earlier on to the heavily dramatic bits at the end. She's incredible, and I love, as we mentioned, the scenes where she's not talking. And I don't mean that as a slight. I mean that in terms of just how much emotion, raw emotion, is on her face, and the whole story is written there.
And the fact that there was a moment where I thought she was going to snap out of it and she was going to be her old self.
Yeah.
When Graham was basically saying to her that, you know, that there was hope, like, we were friends, family, whatever. That bit of dialogue was a little bit there.
Yeah.
Because it was from the trailer and we were like a family. But in that moment, I expected her to chirp up like in Series 11. She's like, "Oh, thank you," but she wasn't.
Yeah.
She was still, like, she was there was a slight, like, bit of smile in there.
Yeah.
But she was still affected. And in that moment, I'm like, they fucking got it right.
Yeah. She's...
This is her gridlock.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not to the same extent, because she's not my favorite Doctor or anything. But
Like, it's still incredible. It's still
in terms of the moment when she finally becomes
the Doctor.
the Doctor for me.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Spyfall Part 2 had some good stuff in it too. But
But this is the one where it's like, this is totally about her character.
yeah,
This whole episode. I mean, as I said, the Jack stuff is really about whatever the Cyberman episode's going to be later on. That's all about the finale shit. Whereas this episode, the Judoon stuff, all of it was about the Doctor. This was everything to do with the Doctor. And that's great. Because she
Yes.
needed that.
Now, before we get into the next character
Yeah.
and what implications it could have, I will start with one potential positive
Yes?
and how this could go for Jodie. So, her having to come to the terms of, say for example, it's not. I know it's not true because it's not true, but let's say in the scenario, for argument's sake, that it's like a Doctor from a parallel universe,
Yeah.
right? Coming to terms with the fact that every decision that she makes shapes who she is,
Yeah.
and that if her outlook on her, if her decisions were done differently, then she would have turned out like the other Doctor was.
Yeah.
And is it like a gun swinging badass, right? And having that be something for her to be self-reflective on herself, thinking, well, what about me? Am I making decisions like this too? And having that come back to things like when the bit with the Master and the Nazis, the bit
Yeah.
with the Ragnar Scorpion thing, having that be the thing that drives her character could be a great idea.
Yeah.
Could be fantastic. Now, I don't think that's what it is, unfortunately, but I will say there is potential still for something like that to happen. And even, actually, I will say, even if the massively negative implications are true, with all the lore snapped in half and broken, this could still have great development points for her character.
Absolutely.
So in regards to just her, I think this episode was phenomenal for her and could do wonders for her going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yes. Now with that said, shall we move on to the next character?
Let's do it.
Right. Well, that would be Ruth Clayton, aka the Doctor. You start.
I really liked her in this episode. I legitimately... Okay. So, first, when she's in her human form, she is she garners this real sympathy. She feels so genuine. She feels so scared and
Also-
vulnerable. What?
Her windows, TARDIS windows in her house, and her mirror was a roundel.
Of course it was.
And she was a tour guide for destinations like the Doctor is.
Yep, of course. Okay, firstly, I'm gonna not let the fact that I love the chameleon arch as an idea get in the way here.
Fucking, there's so much stuff in this series. It's so much like Series 3.
Yeah.
The Judoon, the Chameleon Arch, the Master.
Jack. Okay. So, right? Okay. Her character, when she started as human, I really liked because she had this real sympathy and she felt vulnerable. And obviously there was the swerve where the whole time you thought it was her husband or partner. I forgot his name.
Oh, yeah. Is it Lee?
Might be Lee. Lee sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's Lee.
Lee. We'll go for Lee. You know who we mean. Lee.
Lee Clayton.
Lee Clayton. That's right. Lee Clayton. Because the whole time you thought Lee was... The things that kept you guessing as to was Lee an alien? Was Lee holding onto an alien artifact? What was Lee doing? And Lee turned out to be... he was Martha. He was doing what Martha did. And he died because of it. Because no companion is as good as Martha. Fucking fight me. But...
Did you put Sarah Jane above Martha? In the...
Only because of legacy, man. But, But the way that relationship, and then that relationship only on screen for a little time, but it felt real. You know, there was a legitimate connection there. And the way she sort of dealt with this horrific alien situation and being scared, and she was being drawn to the lighthouse, and the doctor noticed that there was something off, and she couldn't get a reading on her.
In the reaction,
Yeah.
when she was seeing the lighthouse, I said, this is very similar to human nature and utopia.
Well, that's the thing. I clocked that she was a Time Lord as soon as the Judoon scene happened, where she basically was a sleeper agent and she snapped the rhinos. Because I remembered, like, when the doctor or whoever, when it was the kid touched the fob watch and he could feel, like, he could hear the doctor's thoughts being trapped in there. And there was ways to trigger that won't convert them, but they're buried deep within them.
And like the drums with Professor Yana.
Yeah, exactly. So when she snapped that rhino's horn off and, you know, went full combat on them, I was like, she's a Time Lord soldier. Didn't know which Time Lord soldier, but I was like, she's a Time Lord soldier. I cannot believe I didn't pick, you know, companion. You know, it was so blindingly obvious what the twist was. And then when the twist happened, now, regardless of if it's parallel dimension, forgotten regeneration, different regeneration cycle, clone, whatever it is, whatever the timeless child is, because my assumption is she's the timeless child, this version of the Doctor. I liked this version of the Doctor, and I will tell you for why. This is going to sound really strange, but she reminded me of Pertwee. Because her interaction with Jodie Whittaker reminded me of John Pertwee and Patrick Troughton.
There you go.
She was grumpy, curmudgeonly, like, just don't touch anything, just leave me alone. Like,
you know, this might be even more strange. You know what my favourite thing about this Doctor was?
What?
Her TARDIS.
Her TARDIS was gorgeous. It was so cool. I love that interior.
It was a big budget classic TARDIS.
Yeah. It was so cool. And I really liked her costume as well, though it did feel like the Curse of the Fatal Death one. And
I know it's not true.
Yeah.
But just thinking about just potential things, right? Say for example, I know it's not true because I've read online that Chibnall denies this, but if it were a parallel universe, like if there's a parallel universe where the Doctor is some badass black woman, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love this iteration. I'm leaning towards it being parallel universe, but more specifically, I guess I'll get onto this now. More specifically, I think the Timeless Child is going to be a result of either Rassilon Omega or some Time Lord higher ups messing not only with time but reality to control the Doctor somehow, and in doing so create the Valeyard or something like that, where it's not necessarily from another reality, but it is a different version of the same person. You know, it's the anti-Doctor, but it is the Doctor, but it's not.
Now,
you know?
I can say, I did see an interview that Chibnall did this week, where he said, obviously, you know, Chibnall being who he is, very selective with his words,
yes,
but he did say that this is not someone from a parallel universe, this is the Doctor. So there is some confirmation.
And also,
of that.
there's the Brain of Morbius things as well.
Where, although some people say that some of those are Morbius's regenerations.
Even so, like, in terms of just this episode, regardless of the wider implications that this could have, because obviously I don't think anyone would really enjoy the idea of there being 13 Doctors before Hartnell.
Yes, now I have something to get onto that unless you want to...
I just want to finish my point, and even though she is violent and she's gun-toting, which is not really in the Doctor as we know's character, because this is not our Doctor, whatever this version of the Doctor is, whatever her origin is, for what she is, I loved her characterization. And the fact that when she was standing up to the Judoon at the end, and Jodie was like doing her thing, and this Doctor was like, no. I felt like within 5 minutes of this Doctor, I felt like I was watching, you know, the 5 Doctors, the 3 Doctors. You know, it felt like that kind of interaction, even though we'd
Yes.
only just met her.
Yes, and my favourite part of those scenes
Yeah.
is how Jodie reacted to her.
Yeah.
Because, and this is something that I do trust about Chibnall's writing,
Yeah.
is regardless of obviously the implications of the law. The fact that that the 13th Doctor is having such a massive, like, almost negative reaction to this character shows that there is something to what Chibnall's doing here. Like,
Yeah.
there is something more than just what you may think on paper. There is something that is going to affect her as a character in regards to this.
I kind of got the vibe that this is what the War Doctor. Like, okay, no, let me phrase this carefully, because you all know I love the War Doctor and I love John Hurt, but he was kind. I kind of like the idea of this being a Doctor who isn't, who was the one. What if, you know, this. I just like this version of the Doctor, even though as not the Doctor, as not our Doctor, you know, in the way she, even if she is before Hartnell, which I hope she isn't, because law, I really liked her. Like, I really liked her as a character, and I'm glad we're going to get more of her.
Which is why I think a lot of people are very conflicted on this episode.
Because one good Doctor does not 13 good Doctors that we've never seen make, you know? Or 12 other
Now,
others. Yeah.
I will get onto something that I saw on Twitter. It was from Matt from the Who Addicts. It's his reasons he doesn't believe that she's the Doctor in this timeline or universe. Firstly, in the name of the Doctor, we witnessed Clara help Hartnell's Doctor steal the TARDIS before it got stuck as a police box.
Yep.
We then next see an unearthly child as a police box. There's no way that Ruth's Doctor can be in between these events.
Yep.
If not before Hartnell, the only other possible gap is between 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't recognise the sonic screwdriver, a device created by the second Doctor.
Yep.
So she can't be between them. All other regenerations have been seen and are complete. Talking of regenerations, in the time of the Doctor, we learned that in addition to the War Doctor and the 10th Doctor regenerating into himself, meant that the Doctor at this point had used all 13 regenerations. If Ruth was before Hartnell, the maths wouldn't add up. And we've already seen the Doctor as a child during his time in the Academy, when he was a child who was lonely and wouldn't stop crying. This behaviour would indicate that this was the Doctor at his youngest. Plus, this Doctor was male and Caucasian. I don't think that really... See, if it was a different regeneration cycle, then that might not apply.
Yeah.
But in my head, that was always child William Hartnell.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the only explanations are she's not the Doctor and is lying disguised as someone else. She's a Doctor from another universe, parallel or unbound, which Chibnall has denied. Or she's from a previous cycle, meaning there are 12 others before her, which for me is way too much. What do you think?
Wouldn't it be disappointing if it was like, psych, I'm the Rani in disguise.
Or the Rani?
You're the Rani.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking maybe she was. Actually, no, not her. The other Gallifreyan from the story.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was the Rani.
So did I.
Yeah.
Because Lee was her companion.
She still might be, because we didn't find out who she...
Well, we found out her name, but it wasn't the Rani.
Right.
And also, it wasn't a time lady, it was a Gallifreyan, that's why she
Oh,
didn't regenerate,
yes,
she
yes,
died.
yes.
So I don't think it was the Rani.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Also, the idea that they were heading back to Gallifrey, even though... Also, parallel... Why is this version of the Master not acting at all like the resolution of Missy? Because he's from a parallel world? Who knows?
Well, Chris Chibnall, like I said, in the interview said it's not from parallel universe, but we'll see. Believe it or not, we've had Spyfall, we've had this. Doctor Who on Twitter page said there's still more to come. I've heard rumours about episode 7.
Susan.
I've heard rumours about the finale. So,
Susan.
do you want me to say one of the rumours?
No, I don't want to know anything.
Alright. Okay.
Right.
But, now, if this is before Hartnell,
Yeah.
if this is a new regeneration cycle that happened before Hartnell and then her memory was wiped,
Yeah.
does this kind of fucking ruin the show? Because there was a police box before Hartnell. Like, isn't that a bit weird?
Yes. Okay. I don't think it would ruin the show so much as change it in a direction that needs a lot of explaining.
We need a lot of explaining already for a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, it's not something that would provide answers and resolutions. It's something that would provide more questions and impact the classic show, which in a lot of people's minds is sacred ground. And as Callum said in the comments of Spyfall Part 2, I think, he said, I think we got another... Oh no, it was your reaction, I think, to this episode.
Yeah.
That we could have another Hellbent coming, which is entirely possible. But I think the reason I'm pretty calm about this is because Hellbent already happened. So I'm prepared for that. You know?
Yep.
I'm nowhere near... Like, if something happens where it's like, surprise, 13 other doctors we never knew about, I'm going to be like, whatever, Big Finish, make him good. You know, like, Big Finish, dream cast your doctors, Big Finish, and have a ball. Cast Daniel Craig, cast Greg Davies, cast whoever. Nicholas Briggs, cast yourself. Who cares, you know?
And Mark Gatiss as the Doctor and the Master at the same time.
Yes! Do it! Cast Stephen Moffat as the Doctor! Do it! I don't care!
You know Stephen Moffat was the Doctor in one of Eirich's short films?
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think it's called Huvians Unite or Huvians Reborn, one of those ones.
That's amazing. But yes, and you know, that's the thing for me, is even if it does break the pre-established lore, it's not going to hurt me any more than Hellbent. You know, hurt me. That's so dramatic. It's a TV show. But you know what I mean, like impact my perspective of the lore of this show in such a way that Hellbent did. It's going to be very hard for it to be worse than that in how I received it, you know, and how I interpreted it. And also, the thing is, like, I like this Doctor character as so far as we've seen, as opposed to...
This is the thing though for me is, like, I also do like this character.
Yeah.
I just don't want her to... Not the character, but I don't want this creative direction to, like, ruin William Hartnell, you know?
No, that's my big beef with it, is it like, I'm not saying it wouldn't upset me, because I think, like, Hartnell was the first, and retrospectively already Hartnell being so young in that body makes that character so compelling. Yeah. And then to have Mind White, and he was actually much older than he thought. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly would prefer... I know you're not big on clone stories, but like...
Well, you say that, but I watched The Androids of Tara this week, and that's a fucking brilliant story. Despite what Azmat Mahmood says about the comedy in Graham Williams' era, fair enough. If it's too silly for you,
comedy is very subjective.
I fucking love that story.
But no, like the thing is, like, I get that, but and I am worried.
That story.
I'm sort of. It could potentially be disastrous going forward, in terms of how the story unravels. That being said, it could also lead to the most epic 60th anniversary we could have possibly gotten.
Yeah, I want it to be New Who's 5 Doctors, where they just cram everything into it.
Yeah, bring Eccleston back.
Paul McGann, Chris Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker, all of them.
Yeah,
all the companions.
Derek Jacobi, Eric Roberts, Michelle Gomez, Johnson, Sacha Dhawan,
fucking Jeffrey Beavers,
and bloody Alex McQueen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
fucking
Mark Gatiss, do it. Davros,
Julian Bleach and fucking
Terry Malloy. Hell yeah. But you know, just
Dalek Cyberman, everything.
the thing is, this is so huge. All of what's going on is so huge that, like, it could fall on its face, or it could be a noble design. You know, it feels like Chibnall at least is attempting something that could be, you know, it could be considered a failure, but definitely a noble one.
Well, here's the caveat.
Yeah.
What I said earlier is that whilst this may completely shatter the law, it may be the best thing to ever happen to Jodie Whittaker's character.
Yeah, the characters within, I think, his 5-year plan,
Yeah.
whatever that is, Jesus, starting big, you know, whatever that 5-year plan is, because the thing is, he may string us along where we think there's a whole regeneration cycle, and then the end of the 5-year plan, at the 60th, it's revealed that it's not.
Also,
Yeah.
he might pull a J.J. Abrams.
And reboot.
And no, what he might do is he might come to the end of this series and be like, actually, people didn't like that. I'm going to change it again. We won't talk about that. Anyway, Doctor Who.
Last Jedi is better than The Rise of Skywalker. I don't care what anyone says.
Did you watch the Did you watch the?
Nope.
Oh,
'cause
6
I
hours. Yeah.
cannot be fucked listening to things about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Not on you. I'm just sick of Star Wars.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
When we ranked the films,
Yep.
I put Last Jedi above Rise of Skywalker.
Well, thank you very much.
I still gave Last Jedi a fucking 1 out of 10 on the review, but I did put it above Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because it's a film that has scenes in it, and and if you're one of those crazy fucking idiots that love themes and fucking art house weird ideas and don't care about Star Wars or its lore or its plots, then I can understand why you'd like it. Rise of Skywalker, if you like that, go directly to jail. You are an idiot. You are a fool.
I genuinely believe, we haven't talked about this, but I genuinely believe, because I rewatched them preparing for Rise of Skywalker, I genuinely believe Last Jedi is a better film than The Force Awakens. I feel like I legitimately, I do not like the casino subplot. Doesn't go anywhere, but the Luke, Rey, and Kylo stuff, I genuinely love. Genuinely.
I cannot.
I think it's better than all 3 of the prequels. Anyway, that's my Star Wars. I'm never talking about Star Wars ever again on this channel. Bye. Alright, let's moving on.
I'd rather watch Attack of the Clones than all of the sequels.
Yikes, man.
Yep. And I don't even like Attack of the Clones.
Yikes.
Anyway,
Disagree.
that ends that argument.
Disagree. Yeah, we're not getting into that because neither of us are changing our opinions.
I'd rather watch Revenge of the Sith than Guardians 2.
Well, that's because you're dumb.
Though Guardians 2 has a very, very good story.
Yeah, it does. Anyway.
It's just painfully miserable.
Hey, you know how this is a Doctor Who YouTube video? You know what the comments are all going to be about, right? Because we mentioned TLJ and we mentioned Tross.
Wait, you mentioned what? Oh,
The Rise of Skywalker.
Sorry, I thought you meant The Revenge of the Sith. I was like, oh, that sounds great. Well, actually, no,
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I cannot
hang on. That's ROTS, not TROS.
Yeah. So it's just... Anyway, Star Wars, don't at me. I'm not going to respond to Star Wars comments because I just don't care enough.
I gave Last Jedi a 1, I gave Revenge of the Sith a 9. Deal with it.
Flip that for me. Alright.
Anthony gave Revenge of the Sith. He tried to give it an 11. I'm like, that's you can't go over 10. You can't. It's over the limit. And he tried to give Last Jedi a -3. I'm like, that's under the limit. You have to give it fucking minimum 0. Don't break my rules on my channel. You can't do that.
Can we stop talking about Star Wars forever?
Yes. Otherwise, we might kill each other.
Yeah.
The only other instance where we might kill each other is if Jake doesn't like gridlock.
Oh no, that'll be us beating him up.
Yes.
But no, yeah. If you're gonna talk about Star Wars, please just be nice to each other. I know I just called Connor an idiot, but I was being facetious. That was about Guardians anyway. But just, I'm so sick of Star Wars comments being so, like, regardless, like, I'm not gonna jibe after someone for liking the prequels beyond, banter just then.
Yeah, I
But
know.
like, I legitimately like. Of course, you're entitled to your opinion.
Oh,
but
you know, and
I just want to disclaimer this.
in regards to the
Yeah.
sequels, like I've done my reviews now.
Yeah.
My hate's out there. I don't
Yeah.
have to talk about it again.
No.
If you want to hear what I have to think about it, watch my videos because
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No, and like, just be excellent to each other. Bill and Ted got it right.
Yes.
Now back on Doctor Who.
Ruth Clayton as the Doctor. We've already talked about, haven't we?
Yeah, she's great, regardless of what the lore implications are.
It's like if Graham's wife Grace from series 11 was John Pertwee.
Yeah, and that's great. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. It's like your favorite thing about series 11
Yeah.
combined with your favorite thing about Classic Who.
Yep.
Combined into one.
Yeah, so I legitimately really like that character.
So yeah.
Obviously, we've only seen her on a screen for a small time. She may do stuff in the way she's written later on, which I may disagree with.
She may undermine
But-
the whole bloody show, but well,
It all just depends on how this resolves. But in this episode, I loved her.
we've already talked about Captain Jack Harkness, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we've covered him. Because as much as it is a big deal, especially for us, nostalgia baiting, you know what? It's great. His story's clearly going to play, whatever he was talking about, the lone Cyberman, I think he said, is later on. And it was just basically to keep Ryan, Graham, and Yaz away from the Doctor's very personal storyline.
Yes.
And that's fine. And that was a great way to do it because it was like jangling keys, but nostalgia keys. It was like, hey, you remember Captain Jack? Yes, I miss him. It's been so long. Then we went 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You think you know me? And he came out and he looked all jacked and shit. And then he did the spear and they cut away for some reason and I don't understand why. It had been 10 years since we'd seen him. 10 years? I thought he'd never come back. I thought he was done for good. Anyway, if you know, you know. But yes, Jack's back and it's great.
Speaking of the companions,
Yes.
Yaz was a policewoman.
Yes! Yes. She was.
She was fantastic.
Yes.
Finally.
Yes.
Finally.
Absolutely. She was a defined character.
Yes.
It was very distinct. It was great.
Yes. Now, the only, aside from obviously the fact that the show could absolutely crumble, the only real sort of criticism I have with the presentation of this episode is some of the dialogue that the companions got.
Yeah.
It was a bit clunky. And also I've seen a lot of criticisms of the dialogue in general of this episode. The way I sort of differ on that is that I think that for an episode that is chaotic as this, I think blunt dialogue was necessary. You had to shoot it straight. You couldn't be subtle. If you were subtle, it would be fucking confusing. You had to be straight with us. If it was a longer story, yes, I could see how you could have done that, but that's not what it was. So for the structure that it was going for, I think blunt dialogue was necessary for the most part, though I will say that some of the companion dialogue was a bit off, as it is with most Chip and Lambert episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not to the degree where it completely took me out of the episode. Because, to begin with, as I said, I was so invested in the idea of the Judoon hunting down somewhere in Gloucester, I think they are. That's just a really quaint, interesting idea. Then it turned out to be something much bigger than that. Then Jack showed up, and then it just kept going and going and going until the end. And I'm excited about Doctor Who again. That's the key thing for me about this episode. It reignited that, oh my god, I can't wait to see what they do next, flame. Be it trepidatious, be it excitement, I am invested again. I like the fact that they're taking these big risks in episode 5 of 10.
And there's more to come.
And there is more to come, according to the
My
advertisement.
body is ready.
And the new Cyberman design is dope, based on that trailer. I like it. But also, there's not a Cyberman design I don't really like, so. except maybe the King Cyberman from Two Doctors. The next Doctor.
Yeah. I don't necessarily hate like the design because I mean it's basically just fucking Iron Man.
Mm.
But I don't like how they used a Nightmare in Silver.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's the weaker of the New Who. I much prefer the blockier, slow ones.
Which Jake hates.
Yeah. Whatever. But no, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next. It's not going to be such a passive experience for me going forward. Even if the episodes are kind of wonky, like the small standalone episodes, I'll still be thinking, okay, but when's the penny going to drop? What's coming next? What's the Master up to? What's the Doctor doing? What's the Doctor doing? You know, what's, yeah. Is Omega involved? Is the Rani involved? Because this does feel like, obviously, we're going to get a finale for this season. But this totally does feel like it's leading towards the 60th already.
Yeah, I got a feeling Chibnall's staying for that.
Yeah. And if he keeps it this bonkers, ballsy, over-the-top trajectory... Because I like Day of the Doctor. But it's a really focused, good character story. Give me schlock on the 60th.
Yeah, what the fuck, Stephen Moffat gave us a very, very professional, focused story.
Yeah. How dare he? With
Fucking
three of the top-class actors in England.
If it was Russell T Davies.
Wouldn't that be great? But no, I love Day of the Doctor, but I hope for the 60th
If it was Russell T Davies, and Elizabeth Sladen and the Brigadier were still alive, and Christopher Eccleston wanted to come back.
Yeah. Anyway.
To be fair, I love John Hurt though. But,
Brilliant. Yeah.
But Russell T Davies would have made him a fucking villain.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, with the 60th, with the proviso that it doesn't completely, like, rework the classic series lore, because that might bother me a little, I want it to be big, over-the-top schlock with just everything.
Well, that's what like I said, because the Three Doctors is also a very focused story.
Yeah.
The Five Doctors.
I just want the 5 Doctors of... Yeah, we've had the 3 Doctors of New Who. Give us the 5 Doctors of New Who, except
Actually,
give us Sylvester McCoy and give us Peter Davison and give us Colin Baker. Put them in the suit, say, oh, we're temporal displacer. There's too many of us in the same space, so we've aged. It's not that hard. You can get them there.
And if Tom Baker's still alive, then bring back the Curator again.
Yes. You know what? I've got this feeling in me that Chibnall's already done that. Because, you know, just the old favourites, eh? Maybe Pew Pew version of the Doctor is from the next cycle, and she's had her memory wiped, and that's why she doesn't remember Jodie. And then when she does remember, she's like, oh, Tom Baker, let's regenerate into him and retire. Because Jodie's running around. It could be a sequel to The Day of the Doctor, but specific. I'm not going to put it past Chibnall at this point that he would bring the Curator back. And actually give him something to do.
And that scene from Sharda.
Yeah. Ah, that nearly made me cry. It was beautiful. If you haven't seen it, get the Sharda DVD. Because...
It's a great story.
It is a great story. Douglas Adams. Yep.
A Time Lord prison.
And the final scene is... It's Baker back in the costume doing it again, which sounds like it wouldn't work, but in Doctor Who it does. It truly does.
He was such a nice man.
Alright, let's mosey on.
The Judoon.
Yes! I love them.
I thought the animatronics was better than it was before.
Yeah, they're much more fluid in their movement in their
and
mouth.
there's a new meme
Yeah.
for this episode. When all ears Alan pushes the Judoon, it makes this sound and it's like it's like genuinely hurt. And it sounds so funny.
Was it Nicholas Briggs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Paul Casey inside, obviously.
That's cool.
And it was
also,
revealed that the Judoon was a she as well.
Yeah.
Revealed.
Yeah. Also, I like the Judoon lore that was built in the story. Like, when she snapped the horn off, and you're like, that's the biggest sign of disrespect for a Judoon.
Yes.
I love that. That's a piece of lore building that I loved because I was like, that just
Also,
makes
the
sense
fact
for
that
the.
we have a doctor that's strong enough to snap off a horn of a rhino.
They've already generally the Gallifreyans kind of are quite strong though, aren't they? But she just doesn't. The doctor doesn't generally use it because they're not very physical, except for the Venusian Aikido. But that's what made me think of Time Lord as well. Was when she started doing it, my brain was like Venusian Aikido.
Also, it's fucking genius that in World Enough in Time, in the middle of flipping a guy over, the time pauses.
Yes. Oh man, well, enough time's great. But so I love this episode as well. This episode was brilliant. But also, if at the moment, as it is. Imagine if Chibnall decided to just cancel Doctor Who after this episode. This is the last episode we ever got, and we never got any answers.
Well, that'll be blue balls, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But we got Jack back.
Witty balls. Yeah, we finally got back the one.
But very deliberately, he had no scene with the Doctor. Yet. Because, come on, guys, get Firewise.
Yeah, that you do. We're great.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And possibly the best we've had them. Like, I love Smith and Jones, and it was one of the greatest alien introductions ever. And they're such a brilliant concept.
To be fair, though, the star of that, aside from obviously the Doctor and Martha, the star of that is actually the Plasma War.
Yeah, well, exactly. And the whole...
Have you seen Years and Years yet?
Not yet.
She's in that.
Of course she is.
She has a scene in the last episode that is one of the best TV speeches I've ever seen.
Well, it's Russell.
I'm still can't believe you haven't seen that yet.
I'm waiting to
Have you
find
had
it.
any spoilers?
No, I'm not. I'm completely spoiler free on Years and Years.
My
I'm gonna find it as soon as I can to just go in because I cannot wait.
It's. I mean, you know that Murray Gold scored it, eh?
Yes. Okay. Judoon, brilliant. I love them. They're great, and they're as you
Watch
said,
Years and Years.
I will. The animatronics were fantastic. Like, they were so much better. They were more fluid, which is difficult to do with something of that size and make it so fluid. It's still a little bit rubbery, but like we've just accepted that that's what the Judoon are like at this point. And the fact that they were seeing them hired by someone that's not the Shadow Proclamation.
Yes.
That was cool.
I kind of like how they're a bit more of a rogue group.
Yeah.
You know? Very much more aggressive. And they were killing people.
Yeah.
It was so refreshing because Moffat's era, no one ever died. And now like people are dying left, right, and centre. I'm like, what?
Like the Judoon are merciless. Like, if you break the law in their eyes, they'll kill you. They trigger happy, as the Doctor says, and it's and they make for a great foil for, or as like this version of the Doctor before we get the darkness later on. To begin with her version of the character, her more sort of bubbly, quirky version, they work so well off of each other because she's so blunt, but she's also so, bright and fuzzy. And they're these big hulking rhinos who are so like, we're here to find the fugitive, we're going to kill the fugitive whether you like it or not. They're so blunt and they're just, like, they work so well together. And then they're not really involved until the end, when after everything else has been revealed. And they make for a great foil against the Ruth Doctor as well, because she's like, I'm having none of this, and she's double bluffing them, and the lady who hires them kills herself. And it's exhausting. This episode's exhausting.
Well, speaking of that lady, her name was Gat, and she was a Gallifreyan.
Yeah.
From before the Time War.
Yeah. Which is
that's interesting.
Very.
And she had a companion who was Lee Clayton.
Yeah.
Who was the partner of Ruth Clayton.
Yeah.
He was the Doctor.
He must have. Yeah, the Doctor must have stolen her away from. Was he a Gallifreyan himself?
No, I don't think he was.
Okay.
But he was Gat's companion.
What did the Master mean? Says we are not who we think we are. That's worrying. Anyway.
Maybe the Master has a whole other set of regenerations.
Maybe the Master and the Doctor are the same person.
I don't like that.
It's not an impossibility.
I don't like that at all. That's something that really would rate a show. But no, I did like the little side plot with Gat.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like I said, I thought she was the Rani at first.
Same. I was under the impression she was the Rani. Until she wasn't.
Yeah. Like, I thought she was going to be the Rani to Sasha Dewan's master.
Yeah.
But no.
No.
That's not what happened. It was... And I liked how creative this was, because I've always been asking myself the question of how New Who and Classic Who in regards to Gallifrey and Law has always been very separate.
Yeah.
I liked the fact that we saw something from before the Time War in New Who. That's very odd.
Because the Time War is always like it's time locked, so you can't do anything about Gallifrey because all of Gallifrey's events have been pre-established prior to, relative to Gallifrey's time, already been done. That being said, that means we can still see things from
because
that
it's
time.
already happened.
Yeah, because it's already happened, and it just happens to be coinciding with Doctor post-Time War's future. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yes.
And it's great.
Which means that when Matt Smith got another cycle in Time of the Doctor as a fixed point, because this happened.
Yeah. You know, Chibnall could bring back the crack as well, and he could bring, you know, even though I know it was like, but, you know, timelines and whatnot.
You realise the only reason that crack existed is because there's a plot hole in the next Doctor. He basically did it because he's like, I don't want to have to deal with Russell's continuity. Beyond, like, the essential things.
Yeah.
But yes, I like the little side plot with Gat. Really interesting. And also the Judoon were fantastic. The animatronics was beautiful.
And I liked she had a little mohawk.
Yes. And there was lots of references to previous stuff too.
Yeah.
Like Smith and Jones and whatnot. Then we also had Orly as Alan. It was the guy who fancied Ruth, who had that weird thing about her
and he had the ledger and
the birthday cake.
Yeah, and then
he was absolutely a cartoonish stick drawing character.
He was cannon fodder, but he was so funny.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So fucking funny. And then, like I said, the scene where he pushes the Judoon. He said, "You big lump," and then the Judoon goes, and he fucking kills him.
Assault on officer.
Yes.
Captain Jackson this episode. What the fuck? It feels so separate.
Yeah.
I don't mean that like that's it. Like it flows, but because there's so both such big things that happen separately, it's like, oh my god.
Also, you know the classic Who group I'm sort of affiliated with.
Yeah.
They're all very split on this. Like Jacob Lecklater loves it, Lord Salar doesn't. As you expect. And yeah, it's interesting to see how this sort of separated, you know?
Yeah.
And that actually, no, that makes sense in my mind, because Jacob Lecklater, his favourite Doctor is the 7th, and his favourite era is like the books.
Because this whole thing feels very, even though it's different, Cartmel master planning.
Yes.
Where it's big.
Yeah. Whereas, obviously, Lord Salar, Hartnell, and Troughton.
Yeah.
That's his
like,
favourite, you know.
Traditional, we don't need to know anything about the Doctor.
And also, I want to see fully developed stories, you know, that are of good length.
Yeah.
Whereas this was cram everything into 45
And
minutes.
also, I do have one gripe with the episode. I know it's for the sake of prolonging the story arc, but I fucking hated how Jack was about to reveal a piece of information. It's a trope that I cannot stand, where someone's about to reveal a bit of vital information and then they get teleported away. It really bugs me.
Does it bug you? I know we've already been through this with Jake, but is that something that bugs you about the beach scene?
About the what scene?
Beach scene.
Kinda. I mean, that one, I'm just glad it cut that sentence off, actually. But
That's kind of the reverse. It's like you're happy it didn't happen.
yeah, that's the exception.
I am too, actually.
Yeah.
Even though I like that scene, I am too. I didn't want that said, and neither did Russell T Davies.
Yeah.
Julie Gardner wanted it,
Ah, interesting.
but Russell T didn't,
I see.
because Russell T knew where he was going in the future.
Yeah. What if Rose comes back?
What if David Tennant comes back as the Meta Crisis.
At this point, anything's possible. To be honest. Oh man, this is feeling like Series 9 a little bit.
To be fair though, like Rose coming back, I don't want it to happen. But if she does, Billie Piper. Though, having said that, she was pregnant during this filming, so I doubt it.
Scarlett Johansson was pregnant filming like the second Avengers.
Infinity War, I think.
Yeah, Infinity
War. Which is why she was blonde.
Mm.
But I was gonna say, oh yeah, if that were to happen, Billie Piper is phenomenal. So
Yeah.
that'd be something.
Wilfred Mott. Wilfred and Graham.
Don't dangle the keys. Don't dangle these keys.
No, give me a trio of Wilfred,
All right,
Graham,
Colin
and...
Baker, Omega, John
Oh.
Pertwee back from the dead.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Sean Pertwee.
But like Wilfred, Graham, and Jack on their own adventure, doing their own thing.
John Pertwee, Timothy Dalton, Billy D. Williams.
That'd be lovely.
Who's your favourite Harry Potter character? Is it Mad-Eye Moody?
It's a good shout. I love Mad-Eye Moody. No, it's Barty Crouch Jr.
Well, there you go. Well, they're kind of the same.
Actually, no, that's a lie. My favorite movie is Goblet of Fire.
Favorite character though.
Favorite character.
It's actually hard because there's a lot of good ones.
Serious.
If-
Serious.
Oh yeah.
Serious.
For me, if it's the books, it's Tom Riddle
Mm.
because of Half-Blood Prince, not because of the film, because that completely removed all the best parts and put the focus on Ron and Lavender Brown.
Yep.
But if it's from the films, I don't know. There's a lot of very, very, very legendary actors in that series that are all equally brilliant.
It's so
in my
obvious
mind.
to say, but like Snape as well.
Yeah.
Like Alan Rickman.
He's got the best like arc, you know.
Yeah.
But there's those scenes in Sirius Black, like fucking Order of the Phoenix is probably my least favorite, but he is so good in it.
Yeah. It's his film, even though he is the
scene
president.
when Harry thinks like there's something wrong with him and they're in the family tree room.
Yeah.
It's like, Harry, you are not a bad person.
Mm.
You are a very good person. Anyway, Doctor Who. We've gone on many tangents in a review that should be about the show, with an episode that had a lot happen. So, any other characters we want to talk about?
We've covered Lee. We've covered the companions. Because Ryan and Graham, they have very little to do, but it's not. That's not. In this case, that's not so much an issue as because this is the Doctor's
Actually, that
episode.
reminded me something. I love the fact that Captain Jack kept on thinking that they were all the Doctors. He's like, 3 of you?
Yeah.
And then Captain Jack commenting, and he's like, wow, you got too many companions. And then
Yeah.
he looked at Ryan, and he's like, he's my favourite.
Yeah.
Oh, I just had a thought.
Yeah.
What if Captain Jack met King James?
That'd be great. Well, yeah, that'd be so good.
Big finish.
Big finish.
Anyway,
Yeah.
plot.
I still don't know. Actually, no. This is where Chibnall's show running was at its best. Ever. Because I felt like I was watching the family-friendly version of Broadchurch.
Combined with Russell T Davies' Doctor Who.
Yeah. And it was... Because the way things were slowly
And
revealed...
not just because it had a bunch of Series 3
Yeah.
in it. I mean, as in, like, the actual style
Yeah.
of the writing.
Absolutely. And
Some of the dialogue maybe not as charming,
No.
but the style of the plot.
yeah, and the way things were slowly unraveled, and the fact that it started one way, and then this plot slowly careened into this other very unexpected turn, where like halfway through the episode they're like, surprise Jack, and you think that's the big thing, so you're lulled into this false sense of security. Obviously this is Vinay Patel's script, but he wouldn't have had carte blanche on this story. Otherwise Chibnall would have been like, no, because that's not my plan. But obviously Vinay Patel structured it beautifully, but there were elements of, I felt the Broadchurchness in it, not only with Jodie's performance and not only with the beautiful music and the way the music underscored everything incredibly. Jack's return was like chills. It was so good.
The music that played in the lighthouse scene was on par with Murray Gold Classic.
And it was like, and that whole scene, again, Series 3, reminded me of the end of Utopia, where it was the master, Chameleon Arch, whilst the Doctor was like, Y-A-N-A, like, uh-oh.
Police public call.
Yeah. That was so cool. That the police box was buried under the grave. That was... No. And her parents. The fact that she's like, oh yeah, I knew my parents. Like, that was the point where I was like, this is definitely a Chameleon Arch. Because, the vague memories. Just like...
How do you feel about the fact that it was breaking glass instead of a pocket watch?
I don't mind. I don't mind that it, like, the house itself, like, the lighthouse itself was the Chameleon Arch. I don't mind that, because I like the idea that each... Whatever race you may be, I know it's designed for Time Lords, but other races, I imagine, could use it as well. But Time Lords, when they use it, they have their own distinct thing. It just so happened that the Master used the fob watch as well as the Doctor. Just because, as from a filmmaker's perspective, and as an audience, we're watching it, we immediately clock on to what the significance of that watch is. Whereas,
maybe this Doctor didn't have a fob watch.
Yeah. So she just like, into the house you go, break the glass, there we go, that's how you release it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And the way it was slowly unveiled, and the direction was gorgeous. It was so good. It was so good. It was good. And the editing. Normally when something's overlaid, like overlaid on the empty space of the frame, it can kind of look kind of cheesy and slideshowy. Not when Ruth was walking towards the camera and it was just faintly the lighthouse in front of her face. That actually looked really cool, which is a difficult line to ride, I find. Making that not look hokey and silly. They made it believable and they made it work. Believable. But, it made it flow and made it work. And it's great. I dug it.
Yes. So, obviously, this episode was written by Vinay Patel, who did Demons of the Punjab.
Yes.
Which I thought, whilst it certainly had some problems, was one of the stronger episodes of Series 11.
Yeah.
The historical part of it was the best part. The Jodie Sonic monsters side plot was kind of meh, but the actual not demons, but the actual Punjab part of it, the partition of India part of it, was quite strong and had some pretty hooking drama to it.
Absolutely.
And it had some of the best visuals and the best sound. So, see him do a modern day story, I was really keen for. I was like, oh, Vinny Patel is doing a Judoon story. What's this going to be like?
Yeah.
And then I saw it was curtained by Chris Chibnall. I'm like, okay, so is this going to have some relation to the story arc?
Yeah.
No, the entire thing was.
Yeah.
So this definitely, I think, was a collaboration effort between them. A bit like how when the Waters of Mars was about to come out, and you're like, okay, Phil Ford, we've never seen him before. Maybe he's got something to do, something on Mars, and Russell T's gonna do a little bit with it because it relates to the end of time or something.
Yeah.
And then you watch it, and you're like, the entire thing, Russell T was there for the whole thing. Obviously.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. It was definitely a collaboration effort, and like I said, this could break some lore and really do some damage, but as a piece of drama on TV, I fucking loved it.
Same.
It was magnificent. It was hooking. It was well acted.
It was exciting.
It was exciting. And yeah, some dialogue could have been a bit better, but most of the episode, I thought they nailed it as a piece of drama.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it. I can understand why someone would say this is too chaotic, but I didn't mind that.
No, not
I
at all.
thought that was fitting for the kind of story that they were going
If
for.
you're not like us and you're not a fan of Jack, that whole subplot would probably fall a bit on its face.
Yeah.
But because we love Jack and it's been a decade, was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah. I can see someone seeing that scene as like a bit of unnecessary fan service, but I don't care. It's
No.
Captain fucking Jack Harkness, and if it was anyone else, it wouldn't have worked as well.
No. Unless maybe it was Martha Jones. That would just work for me. And
See,
me
the
alone.
thing is with Martha Jones is that her character, despite being great, wouldn't suit something like that.
No. Not at all.
She's not that extravagant.
She's not that showy. She's not that flashy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember her appearance in Torchwood Series 2 is very like, it just happens.
Yeah.
And everyone reacts to it normally, but because we're the audience, we're like, oh, it's Martha. Unless you're an idiot and you didn't like Series 3.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum.
Direction was by Nida Manzoor. I believe she also did the last episode. She is incredible.
Incredible.
She did a historical setting well,
Yeah.
and
Science
she
fiction.
did
Contemporary.
Broadchurch on crack.
Space Rhino Broadchurch.
Yes. Now that is a Russell T Davies thing.
Yeah.
Soap opera and Space Rhino.
Yeah. As I said before, the direction was just sublime. The way things were slowly unveiled, the way things were weaved together, and the way it started as quite pulpy, and then suddenly just went off the rails in a very good way, and it was still controlled in all this chaos. And I love the direction and the scenes between the two doctors bouncing back and forth. That direction was just sublime character work. I loved it. There was, and also the writing. As I said, the way Ruth was so dismissive of the Doctor, it's just like, that's not. That's just you know you're not even part of my stratosphere. Go away. I've been in hiding. I need to go do my thing. Again, it reminded me of John Pertwee in the Second Doctor, and it's like, oh, will you be quiet? Oh, I am not. He is one of me, and I am him, and we are all together. Could you really? It's a song by the Beatles. Oh, how's that go? Oh, will you be quiet? Anyway,
It's funny because I was watching Empress of Mars today, and they were talking about films. Now Bill talks about the Terminator.
Yeah,
the
that's
Doctor's
right.
like, what? And then he gets that like big ice gun.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you'll be frozen, like the movie Frozen. That episode, first time I watched it, I didn't really think much of it, but I watched it again today. It's actually quite a nice little.
It's like a warm episode. Yeah.
Nice one for Mark Gatiss to go out on. Actually.
Yeah,
Especially after Fleet No More.
It sort of reminds me of the Unquiet Dead.
Yeah, and that's a good way for him to end the way he started.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
that he had one of his better ones at the end.
Absolutely.
For me, anyway. Because that one, Robot of Sherwood and The Unquiet Dead are probably the only ones I actually like that he did on TV. Because Eddie Slanton, Victory of the Daleks, Night Terrors. To be fair, I kind of like the Crimson Horror a little bit too. Cold War, I don't really care for.
Yeah.
And Sleep No More, one of the worst. So, yeah.
Watch The League of Gentlemen.
No, that show is insane. It's more of a horror than a
Oh,
comedy.
it's not a comedy.
It's a horror.
Yeah. This is a local shop.
Now, we've already sort of gone into it, but because it's in the list, it's in the list, we'll address it again. The music by Sagan Akinola was absolutely outstanding.
Sublime. It was. I used that word before, but it's honestly just exquisite. And as you said in the other two reviews, I cannot wait for the soundtrack of this season to come out.
The soundtrack that plays during the lighthouse scene nearly brought me to tears.
Yeah, and
it was beautiful.
And the piece of music that plays when Jack first appears, the build up and then the ba-da, the reveal. It just works. Every tone and mood that Sagan Akinola was trying to hit with the score within the episode, he hit hard, and it worked. It was awesome. I loved the score. Really, really loved it.
There's so many things in this episode, like things that we criticized about Series 11 that have like come into their own just in this episode.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor, Yaz,
Yeah.
possibly Chris Chibnall,
Yeah.
maybe
Maybe. We'll see.
Sagan Akinola, and also direction too.
Yeah.
And-
Direction, editing,
yeah.
all of it. Yeah.
Can't believe it. Can't believe this episode exists.
I know.
Like I went to sleep
Mhm.
and I woke up and I realised it actually happened.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. Viewership 4.2 million overnight. That's all we know because it came out yesterday.
Yep.
So it went up by 0.2 from last week, obviously because a returning monster.
Yep.
That always happens, even when it's like a minor one like the Judoon. It does go up.
Everyone knows that you're doing though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
I'll be very
yeah.
interested to see what next week's one is after
Yeah.
this big revelation.
Yeah. Because they're like 3 things around London. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Valiant. Who knows?
Anything else we should talk about before we get into the conclusion?
Be nice to each other if you disagree.
Yeah.
We don't want none of this spiteful nastiness in the comments.
That's right. We've still got the original trilogy. Which
Yeah.
does have its problems.
It
too.
does, but the first and second are great. And the third one's really, really fun. With some great character bits towards the end.
Yes.
Would you agree it does sag in the middle a little bit though?
In what way?
In the building up to the final battle, sort of like towards the end of the second act and the beginning of the third, before things really start ramping up at the end of
See,
Return.
I watched that film so many times that I don't get bored of it.
That's fair enough. Anyway, not Star Wars. I said I'm not going to talk about Star Wars, so I'm not. But no, yeah, because this is a big episode. I really want to hear all your opinions, so please let us know what you think of this other Doctor, the Jack returning, all of this stuff. Just if you disagree with each other, be nice. Just
Yes.
because it's, as Connor was saying, it can get quite heated when people are so, because it's something that people are so protective of. But like, be chill. People like Hellbent, and I won't stab them. But you know, they wouldn't stab me for not liking Hellbent.
Sure about that?
Well, I hope not. I like to see the best in people. Anyway, what's left? What have we got else to talk about?
I'm going to be on a live stream on Lord Star's channel that's very similar to the one that we did with the top 20 stories. It's going to be the exact same format, except this time it's going to be the top 20 worst stories. So that means I'm going to have to defend the end of time against 4 Classic Who fans and probably lose.
Fun.
Give your conclusion and a rating out of 10 for Fugitive of the Judoon.
Exhausting. Exhausting in the best way. So much to take in. But it wasn't, having sat on it for a day, for having sat on it for 24 hours, it's not just something where it's like so exciting because there's this new big twist that's been revealed and Jack's back and all these things. It's actually a really well structured episode that holds up and is paced well. Obviously later on it may lessen purely because of whatever the big arc is, but as its own standalone episode, where it sits now, from the production to the acting to the music to the writing to the special effects to the humor to the characterization, it's all firing, it's all go, it's all on all cylinders, everything's great. So I really like it, and at the moment I'm going to give it an 8.9 out of 10.
8.9, that's very specific.
It's not quite a 9, but it's so close. If you were to allow something like that, a random decimal,
You've done it before.
8.95. It's it's 8.95 out of 10.
So it's like it's a hair below Girl in the Fireplace.
Yeah, as is, it's a hair below Gal in the Fireplace.
Okay. The most hooked I've ever been to Chibnall's Who.
Yep.
The best characterization we've had for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor and her best performance as an actress in the show.
Yep.
Sagan Akinola's best work as music, some of the best direction we've seen in the show, some of the best writing we've seen in the show. It was hectic, it was nostalgic, it was fast-paced, but in a way that worked for the chaotic nature of the story. The Judoon, Captain Jack Harkness, and this bonkers new revelation, the Gallifreyan connections this had, the mystery box that unfolded in a way that was, yeah, I'm not gonna say, but it unfolded in a way that I really liked. Really liked. Yep, really liked. Some of the dialogue I wish was a little bit better. That's my one little nitpick, specifically with the companions. However, Yaz got to be a policewoman.
Yeah.
I've heard a criticism saying that they think it's a dumb idea to have a mystery with 2 fugitive people. Like, they wish that it was a mystery with more people. I don't care. That's not the point of it. This episode, though, with all that said, is so heavily reliant on what the truth is about this new Doctor and where the story goes in the future. So I honestly, I think this might be the most conflicted I've ever been on an episode we reviewed. So I think I'm going to have to break the rules. I'm going to give this an asterisk out of 10. Because of the implications this could have on the lore. Because if this ruins the show, this could be like another Hellbent. But if it doesn't ruin the show, this could be like another Heaven Sent. So I really don't know what to do. So
I can't decide.
yeah. So you'll have to wait till the series 12 recap probably for me to give a definitive answer on that.
6 weeks away.
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
Because I honestly cannot decide. Because I don't want to give it a 1. Because that would assume that everything's going to turn to shit, and then what happens if it doesn't? I can't give it a 9 or a 9.5 or anything. Because what if it goes wrong? I can't give it a 5 because it wasn't an average episode. Like, if you compare it to any other episode, I give it a 5 out of 10 too, or film. It's nothing like that at all. So, asterisk.
I'm going to say 9.7. What did I say? 8.95 with an asterisk, because that may change. But as it is now, it is 8.95.
Yep. So, now that we've got all that out of the way, next time, Praxius, written by Pete McTeague, who did Kablam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's going to be anything interesting in the next one. There might be. I think, not sure if Chibnall was co-writing the next one. Maybe he did. He might have. But if it does, that would be cool. And I definitely know we're going to get some stuff from Chibnall in episode 7.
Okay.
And the finale, so we'll have to wait and see. But, oh boy, I have not been this hooked for seeing what happens with Doctor Who in a very long time.
Not since the end of Name of the Doctor.
Probably not, eh?
Yeah. Because the hype was already high because we knew what the next episode would be. But then it was like, surprise! It's John Hurt.
And Series 10 was spoiled for us.
No. Good on you, Chibnall, for being able to keep secrets.
That's one thing that he has done better than anyone else.
He's so tight about the security of the show.
Yes.
And that's amazing. Because it makes all these reveals so much more impactful.
So yeah, anything else to say?
Here's hoping.
Right then. Well, we will see you next time for